On this episode of Seahawks Forever, powered by BetUS, so we're going to take a look at some film from Sunday's 26-20 Week 1 win over the Broncos. All the discussion this week has been the offensive line, as it has been for the last 4 or 5 years. How bad were they? Who's most to blame for all the pass pressure we saw early in the game and even some of the breakdowns in the running game? The solutions may be a little bit more nuanced than some of us at first thought. Is one of the answers waiting in the wings, or does the solution lie within the 5 guys on the field? We're going to take a look at that coming up today. Little film breakdown on Seahawks Forever.
Welcome to the Seahawks Forever podcast. In-depth analysis on everything Seahawks. And now, here's your host, Dan Viens.
All right, you guys, welcome back to the show. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, certainly, and hit the bell for notification of future episodes. And on audio, if you like what you hear, hit a rating, review, also subscribe so that you don't miss any episodes. And if you like to support the show, all the ways you can do that are linked down below in the description. So we're about, 72 hours away from the Seahawks taking on the Patriots in New England, Gillette Stadium on Sunday. Tomorrow, a proper preview of the game with a couple of content creators and a radio personality from WEEI in New England talking about the Patriots. But today we're going to take one more look back to the Broncos games. And a lot of you ask for this kind of stuff, and I want to do more of it. Some of it is time related, but also and this was an issue last year too, despite spending the money to subscribe to NFL Plus, I wasn't getting the Seahawks All 22 stuff until later in the week. And by that time, we had either moved on to other subjects, it was largely irrelevant, or it just didn't make sense to do it because now it's time to look forward. But shout out to Mookie Alexander, who pointed me in the right direction yesterday. Should be able to get this stuff much, much earlier, hopefully on Mondays after Sunday games. And so we can dive into this a little bit more. I like doing it. And I think you guys enjoy it as well. I wanted to do this because a couple of reasons. For emotional preservation in some respects. Like sometimes when you see these things happen, especially when you're in the stadium, you don't get the benefit of all the replays and the analysis that you're hearing on television. Sometimes when you go back and look at things, they look much different. And the solutions then become more evident. And that was certainly the case this week. And I've rewatched this game 5 times, a couple times from broadcast angle, a couple times on All 22, and then watched a couple of third-party film breakdowns from others. And came away feeling really positive about most stuff. Okay, I just want you to know that because some of this stuff is going to be a little negative, a little scary, because it has to be, right? You got to look yourselves in the mirror. You got to self-scout. And we all feel like there's enough talent on this team that this team can be very, very competitive, push for a playoff spot this year. But you have to address your weaknesses. And for years, how long have we been talking about the offensive line, right? It's getting a little old. And I have stated on this show over and over again over the last 7 or 8 months that I think this offseason, that I've even pushed back against some of you on the live reaction show Sunday. One of you said that John Schneider was negligent in ignoring the offensive line and not putting enough resources into it. And I would argue this offseason, they focused more on adding talent to the offensive line and on fixing some of those issues long-term than they have in a very long time. Even going back to last year's draft, where you spend a 4th and a 5th on Anthony Bradford and Oluwatimi, who now doesn't seem to be a scheme fit. He's since been replaced. They go out and get Connor Williams. But the Connor Williams signing, getting a top 5 level center coming off an injury, which opened the door for you to be able to get him in free agency. You've got Charles Cross at left tackle looking like to start the season. He's about to take the next step and be talked about among the elite left tackles in the game. And then questions at right tackle, which have been there all dating back to this time a year ago with the injury to Abe Lucas. They bring in George Fant, which I thought was a really shrewd signing at the time. But they didn't stop there. They draft Satawa Lamea. They draft Christian Haynes in the 3rd round. They draft Mike Jarrell in the 6th round. It's they're throwing as much talent at the position as we've seen them do in a long time. And then the decision to keep 11 of them on the roster to begin the season, to not risk losing a guy with the upside of Lamea or Gerald. I think the thing that gets lost sometimes in fan frustration is understanding that of all the position groups on the field at any given time, this has been true for 50 years, offensive lines take the longest to put together. There's a continuity that's required there. You got to have the talent, of course, and you got to be well coached. Scott Huff comes to the Seahawks with a lot of respect as a coach, but you also have to play together. You have to be able to recognize things that are happening up front and communicate and make the checks and change protections and work together, know what the guy next to you is going to do. This was the first time in a real game that these 5 guys have ever played together. And then 9 snaps into it, George Fant goes out with his knee injury, and now it's Forsyth again. So with that in mind and trying to be as understanding and subjective and balanced as possible, because that's what I do or try to, I wanted to go back and look at some key plays from this game and, ask the question, I don't know, is it too crude to say who's worse? Who needs to be replaced first? Which of the guards is the bigger problem? Or is it something else or a combination of factors? So let's get into this and take a look at some of the film from Sunday and try to answer those questions. Here we go. All right, so we're going to begin at the beginning because, if you were at the game like I was, or even just sitting down in front of your television, it's 1:00 in the afternoon, maybe you've got a beer, you've got a snack set up, you're just getting ready, the anticipation of the long off season. Let's see how this Mike McDonald defense looks. Oh, the Seahawks are starting on offense. We don't see that very often at home. Let's see how this Ryan Grubb offense looks that's loaded with all these weapons and against this Denver Bronco defense that, outside of Patrick Surtain and Zach Allen, really, had some question marks going into the game. So let's go. Let's see how this goes. First 2 plays out of the gate: sack, interception. So let's take a look at those from the very beginning. So this one, less than 3 seconds, Geno Smith's on the ground. Like, I don't know about you, but in the stadium, we're all looking at each other like, seriously? Is this 2023 again? Like, this is supposed to be new, right? So we're going to take a look at the replay of this game now from the end zone angle and focus on a few different players each time. We're going to start with Anthony Bradford. Is this on him? So I have been critical of Bradford in the past. Not critical. You are who you are. But in the sense of, and we're going to talk about Christian Haynes a little bit later, right? Like, ultimately, I thought Haynes would edge him out and win that job because he's more athletic, quicker out of his stance. I saw some improvement there from Bradford this preseason, and you see a little bit of it here. Like, he's pretty quick out of his stance there, right? Going up against John Franklin Myers, and on this rep, Bradford locks him up, gets his hands on him, doesn't give ground. Like, it's one thing to get your hands on a guy and get pushed back. That's not happening here. I mean, we've seen how strong Bradford can be. So at least for this rep, that's a win. Anthony Bradford wins that rep, even though the pressure comes from that side. We'll take a look at that in a second. Now let's go over and take a look at Laken Tomlinson. How does he do? Going against Zach Allen. Wins that rep. Pushes him into Connor Williams. They take care of him on the double team. No issue. It was George Fant that really, really got blown up on this play. Against Jonathan Cooper, that's unacceptable. You can't have that. Like, his pass set's good, right? His get off is good. His positioning is good. Boom, he's in position here, but he's back on his heels already. You see that? Like, he doesn't have a chance to anchor. Jonathan Cooper is former 7th round draft pick. He was a terror in this game, and I didn't really realize it watching it live until I went back and looked at the film. But George Fant has lost this rep here. And it doesn't get any better from there. I mean, Cooper just rocks him back into Smith, and it's really fortunate, actually, that Geno held onto the football there. That leads to this. And when this happened live, I thought this was our old friend Cody Barton who was picking this off. Again, quick, less than 3 seconds, like quick breakdown of the pocket. Geno really didn't have a chance here. Ryan Grubb, despite even the sack on first down, clearly had an intention to come out in this game and be aggressive throwing the football down the field. Had confidence that despite this patchwork offensive line throwing it together at the last second, Connor Williams playing for the first time since the torn ACL, only been practicing with the team for 3 weeks, that they'd be able to take advantage of some things on the back end in coverage for the Broncos, get the ball downfield. I don't have my pointer here, but what Geno's trying to hit here, because it didn't seem really clear. Let's go back right here. You can see my mouse, right? I don't know the colored pointer. This is an ambitious play anyway. Like, we can question Ryan Grubb's decision to even call this, especially coming out of that first play. Might be like, okay, let's get our feet under us. Maybe call a screen pass. Maybe get something out in the flat or hit a hot route. Look, he's got Kenneth Walker kind of sliding out in the flat there that he could get the ball to easily right now, and he's got JSN on an out route on the 35. That's there. He's trying to hit Tyler Lockett on this deep post. You can see there he's rearing up to throw with anticipation. And so this may be a big chunk play. On 2nd and 17, you see Lockett has inside leverage on his guy there. And the backside safety has no chance to come over. But he gets hit. His feet get hit right when he's trying to throw that. And that's why the ball comes out funky and wobbly and ends up getting intercepted by former Seahawk legend Alex Singleton. You'll see it from the end zone angle, but I just wanted to show it from that one so you could see, because I had no idea where he was going to go with the ball, but it's clear there. He's prepping to throw, and he was trying to hit Lockett for a big chunk early on. Maybe an indication of how aggressive Ryan Grubb is going to come out and be. So where was the breakdown? So let's look at Tomlinson first. Again, going against Zach Allen. Or no, he's not. That's Franklin Myers again. No, that's Zach Allen, number 99. I mean, he does a decent job, right? Takes him on, holds up, good anchor, good hand usage. Allen gets on the ground. So it came from the other side, right? Now let's take a look at that. Bradford had nothing to do on this play. I guess, does that count as a win to PFF? Like, went over and helped out a little bit and then got a little chippy there at the end. Let's take a look at Noah Fant on this one. It was George Fant on the last play. Noah going up against Cooper. Does okay. He's not known as a blocker. You'd like to see him hold more ground there, but gets in his way, affects the play. He does, however, cause Geno to slide back a little bit. And then we see who truly lost this rep. And it's Connor Williams. Wait, let me go back here because I didn't have him with the red circle on, but you can see. Let's go back and watch this with the red circle around Tomlinson. Now watch Connor Williams at center. Initially, looks okay. Lunges a little bit, gets out over his feet, loses the rep, swing move, and he gets to Geno's feet right there. Throws it right to Alex Singleton. That one's on Connor Williams. Now Connor played, I thought, really solid throughout as I was watching this whole game and looking at the two guys on either side of him. He didn't lose many reps, in my opinion. But this one he did, and it really cost the Seahawks. Next drive. Okay, just a simple incompletion, trying to get the ball out to Derek Young. But Geno forced to get rid of it early because of pressure. And the reason I want to show this one is this one doesn't seem to be, I could play it for you 4 or 5 times, doesn't seem to be on any one player. That's why there's no red circle. But watch here. So you look to Geno's left, and they end up bringing all 6 guys. See, at the snap of the ball, watch, all 6 of them are coming, right? They're blitzing. So you have 6 rushers against 6 blockers. But where are the blockers? Ken Walker is to Geno's left, and he stays there to help out there. So you have Williams, Tomlinson, Cross, Walker, 4 blockers against 3 defenders, including Zach Allen, their best pass rusher. Backside, you have Anthony Bradford and now Stone Forsythe. George Fant's already out of the game at this point against 3. 2 against 3. Where was the breakdown here? Whose call is this? Now you see Connor Williams make a signal there. Is he saying slide that way? Is this on Geno? Should Geno have set Walker over to his right so you have 3-on-3? Maybe bring George Fant in. He runs a little deep curl. That's why I wanted to show you this one, right? You have 3 against 4, and then you have 3 against 2, and that's just not going to end well. Geno tries to throw into the pressure, which is what you want to do, but it's not truly a hot route. I mean, this is a deep out and didn't quite get enough on it. But that play's blown up because we didn't have enough hats on hat. It's not on any one individual player. Who is that on? Now we're going to go to the first safety. And this one's obvious, right? This one's on Bradford, got him circled there. He gets the holding call, loses leverage, just wraps him up. Didn't have to. I don't think it didn't impact Geno's throw. I don't love the play call here. Like, where's he going with the ball? What are his options? Like DK against Surtain? I don't know. I'd much rather see him go the other way. Maybe roll to his right, his more natural side. Don't love the play call there, but obviously Bradford, the hold in the end zone, that's an automatic safety. A little bit later on the next drive, this one's a running play. Okay, focus on Tomlinson here versus Zach Allen again. And I've seen this too many times from Tomlinson. The lunge. We saw this, of course, the one-on-one rep against Jeffrey Simmons in the joint practices against the Titans. Very similar too. He gets out over his skis. Like out of his stance. Right, Zach Allen's a load. That's why the Seahawks tried to sign him last year. And reports were that they wanted to sign him and Draymond Jones. Ended up settling for Jones as Allen went to Denver to replace him. But right there, that's a tough rep to win already because he's on his outside shoulder. But he just lunges. And you wonder where this play would have gone. Right? You see, if he's trying to get to his outside shoulder because there's the hole between Cross and Tomlinson, but Walker forced to cut it back up. Or maybe that was the intended hole. But that's a bad rep. That's a loss for Tomlinson. That's a red check against him. A couple plays later, this completion to DK over the middle, one of the 3 that he had against Surtain. We're going to focus here on Bradford. And this is just a whiff. He's going to pull, gets up quick out of his stance again, tries to get the backside defender, whiffs. He impacts the play. Still a completion. It's just when you're grading reps, like this is a loss. He's got to do better than that. What if Geno had to pull the ball down? It's not the most egregious thing we saw on the day, but just wanted to put it in there. Couple plays later, next drive, actually, in the shadow of their own goalposts. And this is the second of the 2 sacks on the day. And I just want to show you this one because, you lump all this stuff together as you're watching it, especially when you're watching it live. And you just, you shake it. You chalk it all up as, man, the offensive line stinks. But this one, I'm giving a pass to Bradford and Tomlinson. This is just a bad Stone Forsythe rep. Forsythe has a lot of hate out there among fans. I've heard many people call him Stone Feet Forsythe. The crazy thing about this is, remember, when he came out of Florida in that 2020 draft where we only had 3 picks, or the 2021 draft, the book on him, you could throw a rock in any area, in any direction, looking for scouting reports from any scouting agency or analyst that you could find. And there was a common thread among those reports, and that was has a lot of work to do as a run blocker coming out of that air raid system in Florida, but could start as a pass protector in the NFL right now. And yet what we've seen from him in the 3 years since is a lack of development in that area. And this is a bad rep. You get turned around, and it's similar to what we saw in the George Fant rep on that first play. Like, he's on his heels. He's not ready to take on this contact. He initiates it, but he's not ready. And he just gets pushed back by a smaller player and then turned around. If you're playing right tackle in this league and you you look up and you're facing your quarterback from as far away as I am from this camera right now, you've lost the route. I mean, that's just bad. I mean, again, Jonathan Cooper, just using that speed to power. It's good stuff on his part. The latest numbers from the folks over at BetUS, they've got the Seahawks installed as 3-point favorites at Gillette Stadium. The over-under at 38, and I kind of prefer the under on this one. I think both teams dealing with offensive line issues. You thought the Seahawks were bad in week 1. The Patriots have injury issues on top of performance issues. They're ranked 32nd by PFF among offensive lines this week. I think that's going to keep the score down. It's going to be a little bit of a slugfest. It's going to go into the fourth quarter, be one of those mutter type games, even though the forecast is for fantastic weather at Gillette on Sunday. If you want to get in on this, BetUS is offering you a 150% sign-up bonus on your first deposit right now and 125% on your second and third deposits up to $2,000. Just head on over to BetUS and use the promo code YouTube150. Now, this is the second safety. Turn away if this is going to give you PTSD. And this is just another. We saw that the first one was 100% on Anthony Bradford. The second one 100% on Laken Tomlinson. He just gets flat out beat here badly by Zach Allen. And the question I have here is, where was this play trying to go? Now he reaches for his outside shoulder. Is that because? I'll pause it here. Is Charbonnet supposed to be going into this hole here that you see with safety coming up to fill? I mean, I like my chances better there if that's the case. If you just can get Allen completely pushed to the inside and out of the play, and you see Noah Fant coming back to get the backside guy. If Charbonnet can cut that back, that's a pretty decent hole there. I still don't love that play design if that's where he was intending to go, because it's just too much ground for him to make up in the end zone without getting tackled for a safety. Or did Tomlinson just either make a bad decision or misunderstand the assignment? And was this supposed to go to the inside? You see Connor Williams and Bradford double teaming the nose tackle there. If you can get on Allen's inside shoulder, it's Charbonnet against Singleton. You still probably are getting the ball out a little bit farther from the goal line. Give yourself a little breathing room. Just a complete breakdown, but it's all because no matter where that play was designed to go, Tomlinson just got creamed. And the reason that we're looking at this, and the reason that many fans are crying for Tomlinson or Bradford to be benched, and I've actually already had conversations with people saying, look, if it's going to be this bad, let's go Satawa Lamea at left guard, Christian Haynes at right guard, and Mike Jarrell at right tackle. Let's just commit to the young guys because they have more athletic upside. They do, indeed. But sometimes I would categorize that as much as long-term, I think that very well could be the combination. Be careful what you wish for, because growing pains are a real thing. Meanwhile, sitting and watching all of this is Christian Haynes. And I know this is a tough comparison. And I know in the preseason he's going against 2s and sometimes 3s. But we saw some raw traits and skills from a guy who's very experienced, had almost 50 starts in college, played a ton of football. And you can see the polish and you can see the physical skills. It's just a couple of reps of Christian Haynes of what we might see third preseason game, week 3 against Cleveland. I saw him, there's tons of this on tape, and I really like this. His ability not just to get to the second level, because his first play is a pass play, so he can't get too far downfield right before Sam Howell throws a ball anyway, but his ability to see beyond what's right in front of him and to take on multiple defenders and get to the second level. You see this little move here where he shoulders the defensive tackle and then he goes looking for more work. on the inside linebacker. Get out. I got more work to do. I have other things on my mind. I got to get to that middle linebacker. The next play is a quick pass to the right, and just watch how quick he is to anchor. We showed examples of Bradford and Tomlinson lunging and being off balance at times. Watch how quick he is, even with that shift at the last second. Like, he accounts for that, and he initiates the contact. Like, I like how he's moving forward, and then he gets his hands on you. It's tough to get around him. Like, he just shows his brute strength. He didn't have perfect leverage there, right? He gets knocked backwards in his upper body a little bit, but he's so strong, he's still able to neutralize that defender, albeit on a really quick pass. And then a similar concept to what we saw on the first rep. This is near midfield. He shoulders the defensive tackle out of the way again, goes looking for the inside linebacker, doesn't completely obliterate the inside linebacker. In fact, it kind of looks like he misses the block, but he affects him just enough for this to happen. If you remember what happens, right? Gets that guy out, takes on the middle linebacker just enough. Kenny McIntosh off to the races, 52-yard touchdown. So, what to make of all of that? What kind of conclusion would you come to? A lot of people want Christian Haynes to be in the starting lineup this week, and we may see that. We could very well see that. We don't get to hear all the things that come out of practice. Reporters are banned or barred from giving certain details when it comes to lineups, injuries, strategic approaches, certainly anything affecting the game plan. I suspect that this coaching staff realizes that at some point Christian Haynes is going to be starting sooner rather than later, that they see enough that they like, that Mike McDonald even pushed this all the way up until the first game and said, hey, that right guard competition is still open. I think there was enough to see on Sunday to hit the pause button and wait and not be rash in making that move. That, again, these guys need time to play together. Some of those misses from Bradford and Tomlinson can be cleaned up. Film study and getting back out on the practice field. Okay, now here's how we will deal with this. It was their first time playing with Connor Williams in the pivot. The communication is going to get better. With this group, is it ever going to be top 10? Absolutely not. But can it be more serviceable than it was in the first quarter on Sunday? Yes, because we saw that as the game went along. It got better, even with Stone Forsythe in there. I would even argue today, as we sit here, that I'm more concerned about right tackle over these next few weeks than I am about left or right guard. Now, George Fant isn't going to go on IR. The news was a little bit better. Mike McDonald characterized it as day-to-day. But I think you could see from those first couple of reps, especially that first play of the game, I'm not so sure that knee was healthy going into the game. They babied him all preseason. They had him in bubble wrap. They gave him very few reps. He didn't play any of the preseason games. He might not be right. When George Fant's 100%, he's a serviceable tackle in this league. But if he's playing hurt, he's not good enough to overcome that. And Stone Forsythe, while Greg Bell was on this show a couple of weeks ago saying he had the best training camp he's had in his 4 years here, there's some bad reps on tape from him on Sunday, but maybe another week, a week to take all the reps at the ones, get ready for New England. Can he be better? I mean, that's what Scott Huff is paid to create. Could Ryan Grubb have accounted for some of this stuff? The one play where we saw the imbalance in blockers versus rushers, that seemed like a simple adjustment that could have been made at the line of scrimmage. It needs to get fixed for this team to go where we want them to go and where we think they can go with all those weapons they have on offense, and to get the best out of Geno Smith. When it comes down to the argument, and we debate this all the time, how good Geno is, there are certain elite quarterbacks in this league that can succeed and get by even without good offensive line play. We've seen Patrick Mahomes do it. Geno's not necessarily one of those guys. He can make things happen in a vacuum and within a game situation from time to time with his pocket movement. But if he's under constant duress, there aren't a lot of quarterbacks in the league that will succeed in that situation. So I'm not ready to make that move yet. I think one of a couple of things is going to happen. Either in a best case scenario, and this is always best case, having the players on the field play their best and give you the best chance to win is always the best case scenario, because the failures that might lead to getting your guy that you want to be in there instead in the game might be pretty catastrophic failures, might cost you a game. I suspect that if you go with this group another couple of weeks, they're going to get better. And that at some point, Christian Haynes is going to make it obvious to the coaching staff that he's simply a better choice. And hopefully that's not through injury, but it's only a matter of time. I would be shocked if he doesn't start at some point this season. But hopefully I've shown you enough today that, let's find out how they do week 2. Week 1 is such a mystery. There's so much going on. You don't really know what the defense is going to throw at you. And again, it's first time these guys playing together. So I'm in favor of status quo. In week 2, you're not going up against an elite defensive line. Not a real formidable pass rush. And to me, it's not the perfect opportunity. I don't want to dismiss the Patriots defense. They played very, very well against the Bengals in Cincinnati. And it's, Gerard Mayo, and they showed even last year when everything was going wrong on offense, even the year before, they still played good defense over there. But I'm inclined to say, let's keep it together for another week or 2 and see how it goes. But at some point, Haynes is going to be the answer. The bigger question mark is right tackle. If George Fant doesn't get better and play the way that we're accustomed to see him playing over the last couple of years in the league, and Stone Forsythe has to be the guy at right tackle, I think the bigger question then might be, unless we see a dramatic turnaround from him, who starts first, Christian Haynes or Michael Jarrell? Because I think Jarrell has starting right tackle upside. And until we see Abe Lucas, and I'm counting him out until we get any information otherwise, like he's a mirage to me at this point. I don't even think of him as part of the equation right now. We ever get Abe Lucas back to the level we were accustomed to seeing him play his first 2 years in the league before the injury, that is a bonus among bonuses to me. So until then, we got to figure this right tackle thing out. And it may come down to that being the sore spot of these 5, more so than the 2 guards, despite what the consensus was coming out of that game. Be sure to comment down below your thoughts, what you're looking forward to seeing this weekend. Tune in tomorrow. Make sure to hit that bell on YouTube for notification of new episodes, because tomorrow I'm going to have a sort of a supersized Patriots Seahawks preview, talking to a couple of different podcasts about what they think of that game and getting their feedback. I was actually on a podcast with Fitzy from WEEI in Boston today, and then I've got a copy of that video. I'm going to incorporate that in the preview tomorrow, and then I'm going to be interviewing a Patriots content creator as well. So tune in for that, and then of course Sunday, guys, I still haven't decided if I want to do a live watch party during the game. I've done those before. It's pretty grueling and exhausting. I may just focus on the game so that I can go live as soon as it's over and bring you my reaction and get yours back as well and get some of that conversation. So look forward to that. These next couple of days are going to go by fast. Seahawks 1-0 heading into New England against the surprisingly 1-0 Patriots as well. And lots and lots, a surprisingly high number of similarities between these two organizations, where they are right now, and these two teams as they are constructed and look on the field. We'll talk about some of that tomorrow. Until then, follow me on Twitter at Seahawks Forever. Shout out again to the folks at BetUS for sponsoring this video. Until next time, thanks for watching. Forever and always, go Hawks.